Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, October 14th. Looking at satellite image yesterday, you can see our fires up in Idaho and Wyoming starting to take off once again. Continuation of that dry, warm pattern that we've had with these afternoon burn periods. This morning's infrared satellite imagery, clear skies mostly across the region, some instability showers still over eastern Utah, and a much stronger front that's approaching the Pacific Northwest, going to play a major role in our weather this coming week. So for today, those showers isolated continuing in southeast Utah, moistening things up perhaps just a little bit. Now for Tuesday, we do have the leading edge of wind with just ahead of that strong cold front we showed on the satellite imagery. Still those lingering showers down south, but for some of our existing fires up in Idaho, we could see, again, a better, more productive, for lack of a better word, burn period with these low humidities and wind gusts approaching 30 miles an hour. Now that powerful front arrives in full force on Wednesday, and a lot to unpack here. You can pick out the front just ahead of these showers through here. So ahead of these showers, we'll still have leftover lower humidity at the surface and gusty winds. So areas in orange is where we expect to see at least a couple of hours of critical burn conditions, with winds gusting to 30 miles an hour, humidity still below 20%, same in southeast or eastern portions of Utah. But in between, there will be some showers here across the higher terrain of Utah, and then a more widespread, larger area of precipitation further back across northwest Nevada and much of the western half of Idaho, a sign of things to come. Now, past 24 hours, this precipitation here way overblown. Just some very spotty light sprinkles in a few spots, and you can see the lightning through here. And some of this northern fringe, we don't know for sure, but it's in the vicinity of some of our new starts. So getting new fire starts from lightning in mid-October is something we don't normally see. What we had 9 new fires for 558 acres, large fire growth, again very productive as we saw from that satellite imagery, 8,232 acres. Great Basin still sits at PL4 here on October 14th. Now, the past 14 days, bone dry across all areas, near 0% of normal precip. This is reflected on the drought monitor on the left. A large area in these brown to orange shades are moderate to severe drought, even some pockets of extreme drought in Wyoming, also some of those drought indices pushing up into the south. Something we started using in recent years, the evaporative drought demand index, flash drought is how it's nicknamed, has its highest indices here across the mountains of Idaho and western Wyoming and parts of the higher terrain of Utah. So again, just reflective of what's going on. We see that on the ERC point map, a lot of stations pushing the 90th to 97th percentiles in various areas. Specifically, we hone in and where we have some of our large fires. In western Wyoming, we can see that the current indices, where the blue line ends, are pushing up to beyond the 90th percentile, well above what the late summer normal is. But you see the forecast in the green as we go towards day 3 to day 7, a precipitous drop back down to normal late October levels, given the weather. Similar story in the Uinta Wasatch, up towards the 90th percentile, above the midsummer normal, but again, later in the period, a sharp drop downward, and we'll explain that here. So for today, big broad area of high pressure with the Tannis shade representing dry conditions, but a little low is trapped down in just near St. George, and that is underneath that high is pulling up just enough moisture for clouds and some scattered or isolated showers, maybe a handful of lightning strikes down near the Four Corners area. That's why we've yellowed out some of our PSAs in southeast Utah. Otherwise, everyone is critically dry. Winds fairly light overall, moderately breezy along the southern high terrain areas of Utah, but nothing significant. You can see the humidity, again, a little drier today than yesterday up north, so the burning, except for the lack of significant wind, should be again similar to yesterday, several thousand acres, I'm sure. Now for tomorrow, the winds start increasing across Idaho. You see a strong cold front defined here in that dark green area moving onshore. Tannis shade represents the gustier winds. You can see some of these stronger winds here edging into the western half of Idaho. So we've issued high risk for some of these areas. There'll be a limit to how far east those winds get on Tuesday, because the high pressure still is in control with lighter winds over Wyoming. So we'll see the winds here. You see those orange areas over the Payette, the Boise, maybe the northern Sawtooth, but not much further east than that. You can see the humidity still teens to 20% up north and near 10% down south. A little higher humidity further across eastern Utah where that upper low is. Now, Wednesday is when everything starts happening. This is towards evening on Wednesday, so strong front pushing down through here. Still some drier air in the southern third of the Great Basin, so we do have high risk for winds. Parts of eastern Nevada, western or southwestern Utah, and also far eastern areas of Idaho and Wyoming. This green area here where there's precipitation, this will be about 6 p.m., but around noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., the precipitation will be holding off. The humidity at the surface will probably be near 20%, and that's dry enough for fire activity. You see that humidity near 20% in western Wyoming. We see those strong winds gusting to 30, 35 miles an hour, maybe near 40 in some spots. We see those stronger winds in parts of eastern Nevada and parts of southern Utah, and just trying to pick out where the wind lines up with humidity that's below 20% or so. Now, the 3-day precipitation totals, some significant amounts forecast to push into parts of the Idaho mountains. The dark green to blue is a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of precipitation, and snow levels are going to be coming down towards 6,000 feet, so the upper third of the slopes could see snow, also getting a 1/10 to a 1/4 inch across much of northern Nevada and starting to get into parts of Utah with a 1/10 of an inch here towards the end of the period. Now we go further down, and on Thursday, this trough really deepens, gathers more moisture. You see a lot more green on the map also across the Uintas and Wasatch of northern Utah. So we definitely have a response on the 7-day, but still in the far eastern areas, there'll be a dry tongue of wind and lower humidity, so we do have high risk for southeast Utah for now. Now this low kind of drops down towards Ely and kind of pushes the moisture back in a counterclockwise flow back across Wyoming, back across eastern Idaho. So you see everyone is greened up at this point. Lots of precipitation through here and low snow levels down to 6,000 feet. So upper half of the slopes could see possibly some accumulations. We'll talk about amounts in a second. This low, not in a hurry to move out. It just drops further south of Vegas, rotating moisture this time into southern Nevada, the Strip, much of Utah, eastern Nevada, maybe some temporary drying in the north. But the damage has been done in the 7-day. See the green, and then by Sunday, that low still drifting further northwards towards northeast Utah, but still wrapping around clouds, cool temperatures and moisture, and the next front now pushing into western Idaho and western Nevada again with more clouds and precipitation. So we should not just get precip over several days, but seal it in with cool temperatures for several days. So the total precipitation over the 7 days, you can see these amounts in Utah. This basically is the season killer for Utah and the Arizona Strip and nearby areas with a 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches of precipitation, and wouldn't be surprised to see a 1/2 foot or more of snow above 6,000 or 7,000 feet. Similar story in western Wyoming, about 1 inch of precipitation, probably, again, 6 to 10 inches of snow in the higher terrain. A little bit less in Idaho, but the central Idaho mountains get about a 1/2 inch. And fair amounts further westwards as well. So by and large, this should significantly change our landscape by the time the 7-day period is over. And we go back to cooler than normal temperatures in the north, slightly warmer than normal in the south, but still a good sign. Wetter than normal conditions basically from the I-80 corridor on northwards going into the last week of October. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.